Number 9, the trust account journal. This is the trust account ledger. Now the trust account ledger contains information about money going in and out of the trust account. So the name of the ledger is Apex Realty Trust Account. We've got the same headings as before, which is date, short particulars of transaction, check or receipt number, folio, debit, credit or balance. However, this is where there's a difference. On the 28th of June we did receive 2 weeks rent, and that was on 23 railway cuttings. It was by receipt number 073811. The folio, that's where we can find the original source document, was the trust account cash book. But instead of being a credit as it was with the client ledger, where they had a credit of $800 because the rent belongs to them, and in the trust account we owe money to them, so it's actually shown as a debit. And this is part of the double entry bookkeeping system. So the trust account ledger is used to provide the double entry bookkeeping part of the accounting system. Number 10, the double entry bookkeeping system. Let's have a look at this. On the left hand side we've got an extract of the client's journal, which is showing the address of 25 Brentwood Chase. That's the property that's being let, and on the other side we have the agency trust account ledger. This is for Apex Realty Trust Account. Now we can see on the ledger for the client that we have a credit of $800 that came in. Receipt number was 073811, and the folio was the trust account cash book. Now if we look at the Apex Realty side, we can see it's actually shown as a debit. Now this is what double entry bookkeeping is all about, and that is one balances the other, so that we have a credit on one side and a debit on the other side. So money held on behalf of a client is shown as a credit in the client's ledger, but as a debit in the agency's trust account ledger. Number 11, the trust account cash book entries to be posted to the ledger account. A principal licensee must ensure within 2 business days after the day the trust money is received or paid that each entry in the trust account cash book is posted to the trust account the trust ledger account for the person on whose behalf the trust money is received or paid. Number 12, transfer by journal entry. A principal licensee may transfer trust money from a trust ledger account to another trust ledger account by a journal entry, providing such transfer meets the requirements of the Property Agents and Motor Dealers Act and its regulations. Number 13, client's account. Within 14 days of demand in writing from the person entitled, and at least within 42 days of a person becoming entitled to the money held in the agency trust account, the licensee must complete a client account and forward all monies held in the trust account, less any approved expenses or commission and fees, to the person entitled to the money. This is an example of a client's account. Apex Realty statement of trust account monies, the statement date, the client, the property address, the transaction, the money held in the trust account, less expenses, fees and commission, please see attached, and the balance due. And the balance due is a payment made by direct credit or checks attached. That is sent to everyone who has money held in a trust account on the disbursement of trust monies to the people entitled to it. So at the end of the month it's going to be to property owners with rent, less commission or any other expenses such as council rates or repairs, and if somebody is buying a property and there's settlement, then it's going to be the money at the end of settlement payable to the owner of the property less the amount of commission charged by the real estate agent. Trust account cash book reconciliation. A principal licensee must, within 5 business days after the end of each month, 1. Reconcile the trust account cash book balance at the end of the month with the trust account ledger balances that show each trust account creditor's name and the amount held on behalf of the creditor. A principal licensee must, within 5 business days after the end of each month, 2. Reconcile the financial institution statement balance for the principal licensee's trust account at the end of the month with the trust account cash book balance at the end of the month. Number 3. A reconciliation must contain the following particulars: the balance of the financial institution statement balance at the end of the month, and the amount of trust money on hand at the end of the month and the date of the money was received. Number 3. A reconciliation must contain the following particulars: the amount of each outstanding deposit at the end of the month and the date the amount was received and deposited. This all has to be done within 5 business days after the end of each month. A reconciliation must contain the following particulars: details of any outstanding cheques at the end of the month, including the cheque numbers of each cheque and the amount and date of each cheque. A reconciliation must contain the following particulars: details of any electronic funds transfer deposits recording at the end of the month that are recorded on the financial institution statement but are not entered into the trust account cash book. The balance of the trust account at the end of the month as shown in the trust account cash book. Trust account cash book reconciliation. A principal licensee must, within 5 business days after the end of each month. Number 4. The principal licensee must reconcile the trust account cash book balance as the end of the month with the amount shown in the end of month statement of the financial institution and the money on hand that has not been banked and the outstanding cheques. This is an example of a trust account cash book reconciliation. We have at the top the trust account name, then the end of the month date and the bank statement date. There's the bank statement balance known as marked A, then the cash book balance date and the cash book balance, plus deposits not banked. That's money that hasn't gone into the bank, which won't obviously show on the bank statement. Give yourself a subtotal. Then unpresented cheques, which show that they've gone out of the trust account but hasn't obviously gone into the bank statement because they're unpresented. So what we want to do is to make sure that the bank statement balance A reconciles once we've taken out the cash not banked and the unpresented cheques. That should balance B. So A and B should be the same amount, and therefore your cash book has and bank and the trust account has balanced for the month, and then underneath you've got a date and check number for all those outstanding checks that haven't been presented. Auditors. Principals licensees must appoint auditor. A principal licensee who is required under the Property Agents and Motor Dealers Act keep a trust account must appoint an auditor or an approved auditor to audit the trust accounts kept or to be kept by the licensee. Applicant intending to carry on business to advise name of auditor. If the applicant intends carrying on business under a license and is required under the Act to keep a trust account, the applicant must state in the applicant's application the name and business address of an auditor appointed by the applicant to audit the trust account and give the Chief Executive of the Office of Fair Trading evidence that the auditor has accepted the appointment as auditor. Principal licensee must appoint auditor. An auditor means an approved auditor or a qualified auditor or a member of CPA Australia, who is entitled to use the letters CPA or FCPA, or a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Australia, who is entitled to use the letters CA or FCA, or a member of the National Institute of Accountants, who is entitled to use the letters MNIA, FNIA, PNA or FPNA. Application for approval as auditor. A person may apply to the Chief Executive of the Office of Fair Trading to be an approved auditor for a licensee. Audit reports. The appointed auditor must audit the licensee's trust accounts each year on the anniversary of the 8th month following the issuing of the real estate agent's license. Within 4 months of the date of the audit, submit an audit report to the Chief Executive of the Office of Fair Trading. Auditor's function. An auditor has the following functions: A. To inspect and audit in each audit period the trust account of each licensee by whom the auditor is engaged, and B. To make an audit report for the licensee for the audit period. C. If the licensee is a licensee for the whole of the audit period, to make 2 unannounced examinations of the licensee's trust accounts during the audit period. An auditor must not make an unannounced examination of a licensee's trust accounts within 2 months after the last day of the audit period or another unannounced examination. Penalties. The correct operation of a real estate agent's trust account is subject to severe penalties for non-compliance, ranging from fines up to 3 years imprisonment for breaches of the trust accounting provisions in the Property Agents and Motor Dealers Act and its regulations. This has been a 10-minute introduction session to Real Estate Trust Accounting Module CPPDSM4006A, Establish and Manage Agency Trust Accounts.